All right, thank you for staying with us on Citizen Weekend. As promised, we are now joined on set by Dr. Adarsh Swaikar. The doctor is because he has a PhD in chemistry. He's India's High Commissioner to Kenya, as well as permanent representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. He's been here since October last year. How are you finding Kenya?
So far, very good. I think it's something you don't feel about home. Because of the warmth and affection of our friends from Kenya. So, first of all, thank you for having me on this show. And I must tell you that this is my first TV interview in Kenya, so it will always remain very special.
All right, thank you for being here. I don't know, have you picked up any Kiswahili words?
No, I can say karibu, I can say jambo and asante sana, I think. With 3 words, I'm managing now.
Okay, good enough. It's a good starting point. But, you know, of course, you say you feel you're at home. Kenya has a significant Indian diaspora community. I was just reading and I saw India established an office of commissioner for the British East African in 1948. Yes. So India and Kenya's relations really ran far back. You know, so does that in a way make this posting significant or special?
No, very much. Actually, wherever I go, whomever I meet, not only my Kenyan interlocutors, right from the ministers, cabinet secretaries, down below to people from every walk of life, and even members of the diplomatic community, the first thing they say is that what work the Indian diaspora has done in Kenya in building this country, in being a part of the social fabric of this country, and that is a matter of pride for us. And therefore, it's an honor for me to represent India in this friendly country where Indians have become a part and parcel of Kenya's life. They are now recognized by the government of Kenya as the 44th tribe, and what more we can ask for.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. I'll start with AI for development because India is set to host an AI Impact Summit. I think, is it February 19th? From February the 19th to the 20th. Kenya will be represented. Why is this a significant undertaking?
It is because, see, artificial intelligence today is shaping our lives. You take any field, you take education, you take healthcare, you take climate resilience, you take agriculture. It is shaping our lives, and it has also enabled us to leapfrog traditional development pathways. But at the same time, we also have to be careful in managing the risk associated with AI. Now, the AI Impact Summit, which India is hosting, is once again, I would, if you allow me to give an analogy, it is something like the G20, which India hosted in 2023, where we tried to mainstream the aspirations of developing countries in the G20 agenda. And that was one summit where we were able to get AU as a permanent member into the G20. And this is precisely what is India looking for. How do we mainstream the AI for developing countries' perspective? And that will be very important. And the theme for this conference, therefore, is planet, people, and progress. And that is what developing countries are looking for. We also did a roundtable a week before with the Special Envoy on Technology, with partners like Kala, PATH, Microsoft, to see where we can take this message from Nairobi to Delhi as to what developing countries like India and Kenya would like AI to be about. How does AI shape the lives of people in developing countries? So that is the effort, and I'm sure there will be a huge participation from Africa. We understand over 40 countries will be participating. There's a huge delegation from Kenya. Over 150 people have already registered from different segments of the society. So that we look forward to a very impactful, as it says, AI Impact Summit, a very impactful summit in February.
You know, it's interesting that you've talked about using AI to leapfrog where development is concerned. Any examples you can give us from India?
No, the example is today, see, there are two ways of looking at it. When we were doing the roundtable last week, there were people from the healthcare sector. They were saying that there are not enough healthcare workers who can reach to the lowest ladder of the society. Now, AI can bridge that gap. So that is where I think in India we have experimented with all those things, and I'm sure that in Kenya and other fellow developing countries we can use AI to harness its strength. for reaching out to the people.
We raised the issue of health care and health cooperation. In 2016, there were certain commitments that were made by the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, on a state visit to Kenya, and a commitment to build Kenya's capacity, for instance, where cancer treatment is concerned. Where are we on that journey? What progress has been made?
I think that's a continuous journey. And if you see today, there are so many Kenyans who are going to India for medical value tourism. And when I say medical value tourism, it is affordable healthcare at quality and quality healthcare. So last year, if I can give you the figures, over 10,000 Kenyan nationals traveled to India for medical treatment. And that's tertiary treatment, whether it is oncology or cardiac care or others. So I think it's a very, very strong people-to-people link. But at the same time, what we are also looking at to develop a healthcare ecosystem in Kenya with whatever we have. Maybe look at hospital chains in India, looking at Kenyan, how we can provide here affordable healthcare with similar quality. But at the same time, this has been a very, very strong link. Pharma is another area where India is called the pharmacy of the world. Over 20% of the generic medicines globally are produced by India. And in Kenya also, over 50% of the medicines come from India. So we are looking at that linkage between healthcare, medical devices, pharma products. It's a whole ecosystem that we are looking at, and there is an interest from both sides. And Kenya is opening up. I think there's a lot of focus of the government today on investments, eliciting investments. There was a big delegation from Ken Invest which traveled to India in December, focusing on some of these sectors like pharmaceuticals. I'm sure that this would be the other thing which we are looking at.
Because I read there are about 200 pharma companies registered, Indian pharma companies registered in Kenya. So there is a push towards capacity building.
Surely, I think not only Kenya, but I think Kenya is also a gateway to the larger African continent because of the connectivity you provide, because of the stability you provide. So I think that is what companies do their due diligence and look at the market. So if there are, I cannot tell the numbers, but if you are saying 200 companies, there may be.
Yeah, I got it from your website. Speaking of health cooperation, sticking in that vein, when President William Ruto visited India, I believe it was in December of 2023, yes. Some of what he talked about was building sustainable health systems, you know, with the emphasis on sustainable. So Kenya recently transitioned from NHIF to SHA, which is the Universal Health Coverage Authority that we're operating under now. Has there been a disruption in terms of Kenyans seeking out medical visas? Because you talked about 10,000 from last year.
Yes, yes. No, that number is growing, I think, and I won't say disruption, but that number is going. But at the same time, we have to look at how do we build capacities in Kenya, how Indian experience could be helpful in Kenya. And therefore, I think a lot of hospitals, we are trying to engage a lot of hospitals from India to come and look at Kenya healthcare systems, and I'm sure they would be interested in that. So that is an effort from the embassy and also from the Kenyan side.
All right. What are some of the biggest challenges you encounter when processing these medical visas?
No, I don't think there are challenges. We are one of the fastest issuing visas. We do in a day or so. And we also have introduced e-visa, like you have ETA, we have e-visa, so people don't need to come to the High Commission. They can apply online, but if there is sometimes difficulty, they can come to the High Commission. Some people are not very digitally savvy, so they do come to the embassy. But we do in 1 or 2 days when it comes to the High Commission. So I don't see there are any challenges. Yes, if there are some fake documents and all that, 1 or 2 cases might be here and there, but otherwise it's a smooth process.
All right. Now, by the time you're just assumed office, you know, as High Commissioner to Kenya, when former Prime Minister, the late Raila Odinga, had actually traveled to India for medical treatment. What was that experience for you? What was that experience like for you, you know, having just gotten in to the mission?
It was very unfortunate to lose a great leader and statesman like Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister. He was a close friend of India, and he was also a very, very strong votary of Ayurveda, the alternative system of medicine, since we are talking so much of health. But yes, I was just 2 weeks old when we got this sad news, and whatever government of India could do, I think the Prime Minister of India took a special initiative. He organized a military plane from Kochi, where he passed away, to Mumbai. A very high-level delegation from Kenya traveled to Mumbai, led by PCS, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi. And we tried to ensure that we could facilitate in the best possible way, with full dignity and honor, a statesman like Raila Odinga, who was a close friend of India.
All right. So in August, I believe, over 2023, India granted access to Kenya's avocados. How are we growing the agricultural relationship, trade relationship between India and Kenya? And I ask that because when you look at the trade deficit from the numbers published by yourselves in 2023-2024 financial year, we're talking about, India exported value of 400 billion, over 400 billion Kenya shillings. Kenya, about 20 billion Kenya shillings exported, so imported to India. How do we bridge it? That's a significant deficit. Are there efforts towards bridging it?
No, I agree that there is a deficit, but at the same time, we have to look at the composition and the economic strength of our economies. If you take the example of Indian exports, let's consider Indian exports to Kenya. Now, they are not substituting any of your products in the local market. So those exports, you have to, in any case, import it from some country. And because those Indian items are competitive, are of good quality, they are coming into Kenya. If you see Kenyan imports, the base is small, but last year it was 80% increase in Kenyan exports to India. And I think we should not look at this issue purely from the point of trade deficit. There will be trade deficits with some countries, there will be trade surpluses with some country. So the countries with which you have trade surpluses, the other party will say, yes, we have a trade deficit. It is in the nature of trading relationships. But what is important for both countries? For Kenya, India is a huge market. It's a 1.47 billion people market. And today we have, in the last 3-4 years, inked 7 or 8 FTAs with countries. Why are they doing FTAs? The FTA with EU was done 2 weeks back, and it's called the mother of all deals. 2-3 days back, we have an arrangement trade deal, interim trade deal with the US. So they are looking at the Indian market size. So what Kenya has to look at, exploit the market size. And it's not only goods. What about services? Today, the Indian tourists are, Masai Mara is on the bucket list of every Indian tourist. And in 2024, the tourist arrivals from India were 133,000. So I think we have to look at goods, services, our strengths of the economy. I think we have to look India as a huge market for Kenya. Similarly, for Indian companies, what I say is it's, again, a gateway to Africa. Not only Kenya, but you are a gateway to Africa. So I think we have to look that perspective and not from the very narrow perspective of trade deficit. We will have trade deficit with some countries. We will have trade surpluses with some countries.
Mm-hmm. All right. As High Commissioner for investors from India, where do you see the opportunities in Kenya for growth in terms of investment?
No, that's, I think, trade is one thing. There is limitations of trade. But I think what we have to focus now is on investments. And I really appreciate that Kenya Invest went to Delhi and Bangalore to explore such opportunities. Many Indian companies are keen to invest in Kenya. Pharmaceuticals is one sector. Now, it's not always supplying pharmaceuticals, but they should look at the Kenyan market. You have skilled people. You have English-speaking population. You have land. You have resources. I think that's where we have to look at Indian industries coming and setting up manufacturing facilities in Kenya, not only for Kenyan market, but then you can export to the neighboring countries as well. So I think pharma is one area. Leather, again, you have such large leather manufacture, but the value addition has to be done here. So I think that is our effort. And also from the Kenyan side, I see that effort. And I think if we make that consistently, if there is a level playing field, if there are incentives, I'm sure that Indian companies would come to Kenya. There are already, the 200 companies you mentioned are across various sectors. You see Indian companies are household names here, some like Airtel or Bajaj or Tata. So I think they are big players in India, and they will surely be seeing how Kenya is attracting investments, and I am sure in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we see a lot of Indian investments in Kenya.
All right. I saw even Indigo.
Yes.
First foray into Africa in 2023, the Mumbai-Nairobi route. Lastly, as High Commissioner, how do you intend to grow our historic cultural ties as Kenya and India?
I think that is one area we are working upon, that how do we project what historical links we have. We have over 2,000 years historical links. People have been trading. The Eastern Africa coast has been trading with the western coast of India. The first recorded wave of Indians was during the construction of the railway line. Then the people have been coming for trade, for other reasons. And today, if you see, we have around 80,000 to 100,000 people of Indian origin. And they have been such a significant part of the story of Kenya. So we are trying to see how we can project, glorify that relationship. And today, if you see doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, business families, a lot of Indian origin people. So,
even in our judicial system, I think we've had
yes.
two chief justices, one deputy chief justice with Indian roots. Sharad Rao has written
yes.
an interesting book
yes,
on
yes.
Indian Dukawalas.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely this is a conversation we will carry on. But thank you for taking the time to speak to us tonight. We've been joined by Dr. Adarsh Swaikar, who is India's High Commissioner to Kenya, as well as Permanent Representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. We take a break, but Citizen Weekend continues on the other side.